What it do? It's the Freeaboo podcast, episode 2. So we're going to do a reading and reaction discussion to 1138. Austin, you are actually read on this.
Yes, I've read ahead. You're going to be a first time reading reaction. I kind of know some stuff, not everything, because, at this point, us fans are just guessing and theorizing what Oda means. At the end of the day, the only person who knows what Oda means is Oda. But this is chapter 1138, titled Harley. The cover art is with Who's Who holding one of the stolen swords with a bowl of sake and a couple poor women who are clearly being forced to be there with him, Yamato and Otama, on a mission for retribution. So a little bit of low-key thing. I'm going to be interested to see if Oda has like Yamato one-tap Who's Who or what goes on there, because we saw Jinbei, it was not a high diff fight, but Who's Who definitely did leave marks on Jinbei. That was definition of a mid-diff fight, in my opinion.
Looking back, and I thought, Jinbei messed him up pretty thoroughly, and again, another measure of Jinbei's strength, which a select member of the hypothetical new monster trio for good reason, but Who's definitely one of those characters that there's no way we're not going to revisit him as an important character, and there's no way he can be total fodder. But
he was the strongest Toby Roppo of the Toby Roppo. He was definitely the one. Okay, Toby Who's Who versus Jack. I think Jack would win, but I think Who's Who would at least get his pound of flesh in that fight. So we would see. Who's Who, former Cypher Pole agent, the guy who lost the Nika fruit to Shanks, and was told when he was imprisoned for his failure. Not that I'm going to really say failing to protect the Nika fruit from Shanks I don't think really anyone could have protected that one, but he was told to pray to Nika. And so Who's Who's definitely, I think, a very interesting choice for the cover in this one. And again, we'll see if Yamato one-taps or if Otama beats him or something else. But regardless, it'll be very interesting to see, because Yamato is one of those characters that I really like and is really strong, and it's a good read. And Oda not having Yamato join the crew is a good thing, because, in my opinion, Yamato would be the third strongest on the crew, at least post-Wano, ahead of Jinbei for sure, and in my opinion, ahead of Sanji.
Real possibility. We love our Sanji stonks, but oh boy, they do us dirty sometimes.
Yeah, and Yamato, all three Haki, Mythical Zoan Devil Fruit, Oni Blood, that would have been a busted crew member.
For real.
Not to mention that Sanji just would outright not fight Yamato.
Also very true. So, first glance, we're looking at our boy Loki, and he's not doing so hot. It's looking like he's getting pretty messed up. Quote if, Loki resists the God Knights, but
Loki just getting the shit kicked out of him.
You look just like Huff. The red hair. Are you really a different person?
Shamrock being, and God, I forget.
I'm actually not familiar with her name, but
I think
it's mentioned in here.
Somewhere further. It's God, it's annoying me that we're blanking on her name.
That'll come.
But Shamrock's arrow comrade basically tells Loki, behave, you insolent. You don't need to know anything. And Loki's like,
all right, a great pirate and a
celestial dragon, Tendubito. That whatever word the Japanese word for celestial dragon is.
Thank God, because I cannot read. An antithesis of the world, it's obvious. Having the same face must seem strange to you. So we're getting some clear indications that Loki definitely knew Shanks fairly well, it seems. And we even get a close-up on Shamrock's face here, and the missing scars especially sticks out to me seeing this. It's so jarring.
Yeah, you see Shanks' face just without the cat scratch from Blackbeard. It's definitely interesting.
Speaking thereof, that pirate is my younger twin brother, the one I was separated from. Once he returned to the Holy Land, but it seems he has taken a liking to this filthy world, in quotations.
So Shanks had gone up to Marijois at some point in the past. We don't know when, but it just says one time in the past, which is very interesting because that could mean. And I have seen things like people saying, "Oh, Shanks beat the rat allegations with the reveal of Shamrock." You know, the scene where it looks like Shanks goes and meets with the five elders.
We need to talk about a certain pirate, comma, may or we still not necessarily confirmation on that. Oda does tend to keep that in the blank.
Could be Shamrock talking about Shanks. It could be Shanks talking about Blackbeard. It could be Shanks talking about someone else who met the Gorsei back during the reverie. So again, we know that Shanks went up, but we don't know when he went up. One would assume bare minimal after Roger's execution, though.
Oh, this next frame, Oda does his perspective is often inconsistent, but Loki is ginormous in this.
His bent knee is taller than Shamrock and Gunko. I think that's her name.
Quoth, return. I see my anger towards this lineage only grows. Two brothers, both despised by me. How amusing, isn't it? You'll see, when I break free from these chains. Get another shot here.
Of all the slain beasts that were Loki's pets and friends in the underworld of Elbaf.
You know this, right? I witnessed my friend's fate, and you will bear this burden. Quoth Shamrock, are you threatening me?
Yeah, the Gunko, that's where her name is.
Gunko, Commander, don't. How annoying. I won't even have to dirty my own hands. Isn't that right, Cerberus? And oh my goodness, man. You know, this has been such a long-running thing to talk about for Blackbeard is the Cerberus fruit, which makes sense because if he has two devil fruits, there's no way he can't get... It would make sense that he can get a third. I don't see an arbitrary reason for him to only have two. And, like, famous three-headed creatures, Cerberus comes up the first, and here we get, one, a sword with a devil fruit, two, in the hands of Shamrock, and there's no way this isn't meant to at least throw a bone out there that this is going to go somewhere. Usually a lot of devil fruit reveals are like the big, like, oh, look at my cool wacky powers. This is more like just kind of a
menace.
Yeah, a menace. This is like a left hook to see in that there's no way we knew it was going to be around somewhere. It's just here in his hands. That's pretty wild.
It's also interesting because, like, I remember back when, back in Amazon Lily, like, Boa says that they were fed the devil fruits by the celestial dragons as amusement. So, at least to me, the hodgepodge celestial dragons, the Charlos and those ilk, they don't view devil fruits as anything other than a commoner's toy. But the Holy Knights, Gunko has the arrow fruit, and Shamrock has the Cerberus fruit in his sword. And we don't know what's given the Gorsei their powers. We don't know if that's a devil fruit or something Emu does, but it does seem there is that disconnect between, I would say, the run-of-the-mill celestial dragons and the actual, oh shit, celestial dragons. Like, there are that devil fruit ability powers in play, and they recognize the power that those grant. And also, it's a safe assumption, Vegapunk, or at least the research done by Vegapunk, allows Shamrock to have this Cerberus sword.
Well, the first thing I started thinking about in that is that if we look back and think of all the celestial dragons we've seen and like interact with in a kind of capacity, Doflamingo, and though he probably has an asterisk in this category, is, as far as I remember, the only celestial dragon to have a devil fruit, which that's probably not insignificant, but
that only came after he fell.
Precisely. Perhaps a desperate measure. Perhaps this was a calculation. We don't see enough of the celestial dragons to know if perhaps they're a novelty to them, because I don't see why some of them wouldn't be like absolutely incredible for them, just for, again, the amusement, the debauchery that they undergo.
Yeah, it's clear that, and also we know, thanks to the God Valley flashback, that they do collect, I will say, the higher esteemed devil fruits, because we know in God Valley we had 6 treasure chests. We know the contents of 2 of them, that being Kaido's devil fruit and Kuma's devil fruit. And it's safe assumption that the other 4 probably had devil fruits or something akin to that. So So some celestial dragons, I would say, like, they're not gonna bother going after the shadow fruit or the jacket fruit, but it seems to me that they will go after the busted devil fruits. Come on. Of all the devil fruits, Kuma's one of the most broken. Kaido's is one of the more fantastical ones out there, and they wanted it so bad that they had Vegapunk clone it on Punk Hazard. But Vegapunk said, "Oh, sorry, this doesn't work." And the only reason why, because Vegapunk's high ass perfectionist self is like the fact that it turned the eater pink rather than blue was the failure. So, but they did not realize the what Vegapunk meant by failure, and that's another thing to keep in mind with Vegapunk's like definition of failures. We don't know. They don't know, and we don't know when he says things fail.
Returning to the reading, we get the unleashing of the Cerberus fruit, and it is pretty wild. It's a gigantic three-headed dog, which, of course, that's the anticipated part of Cerberus. But what's even more interesting is that Loki looks actually pretty mortified. Quote, "What in the hell is that?"
And I'm going to the panel where you actually see Cerberus first come out.
That's pretty banging.
It is a very cool shot. That's going to be a very fun one to see animated in 2026 probably. But it reminds me of Thriller Bark a little bit as well.
Kind of does, with how, like...
Because we saw a Cerberus-esque creature, monstrosity, that Gecko Moria and Hogback patched together.
So we get a return to Shamrock saying, quote, in a pretty cool tone, it seems, "That's my sword," which...
Oh, he's a swordsman. He's a Mihawk victim.
What is that? What's up with that beast?
And we see the Cerberus heads with blades protruding. Now, they're not pure black blades. They are black in some bits, but that's, to me, not a black blade. That is so... Again, Yura, I think that's Mihawk's blade name. Still the only pure black blade we've seen apart from Ryuma's sword as well.
We also see the collars on the heads of the dogs spin, which... Neat bit. I wonder what that'll be used for.
Which I think is just indicating that the heads are spinning as with the swords are protruding, and they stab into Loki.
Following on that, Gunko. "Commander, let's hide our presence. We're leaving." Quote, Shamrock. "Scramble."
Which I think is just the attack name.
Oh boy.
And it scrambles Loki's torso up good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
also,
it does.
Something interesting. Commander saying, "Let's hide our presence." Gunko saying, "Let's hide our presence," is a very telling thing. So that's why I guess like Sanji, Zoro, Luffy, Jinbei aren't detecting, because one would assume they are very powerful in observation hockey. You kind of get that, oh, someone powerful's here. Like we saw. I mean, it's a dumb example, but on Fishman Island, when Caribou was trying to get all creepy with Shirahoshi, Luffy sensed there's something moving about. So there is clearly some method of masking your observable or sense or aura or something that observation hockey tends to pick up on.
There's got to be something to that, because we also saw a thing from Shanks himself noting on God's Knights themselves way back. Oh God, I don't remember how long that was, but that seemed out of place. I was just kind of intuited that from the ethers, like God's Knights are here.
Well, also, one of Shanks's epithets is the observation hockey killer. So there's something that can be used to nullify, or at least trick or someone's observation hockey.
Rolling back into it, he commands it to return, and the Cerberus seems to actually just kind of like smoke return back to his sword. They then start flying off on this arrow?
An arrow, and a bird made out of an arrow. So clearly Gunko has pretty good devil fruit control, which you're a holy knight. I would assume if you are a devil fruit user, you have at least very high competency with your devil fruit, if you're not a master of it.
So as they fly away, Shamrock decides to taunt Loki. If you manage to survive, come and kill me anytime you wish. I will fight you, and when that time comes... Move on down.
Just Loki saying, oi, oi, you're kidding me. And damn that celestial dragon bastard. Oh, and that's when we actually see Cerberus attack Loki and stab right into his stomach. Loki saying if that thing hits him, he is screwed.
Which
and
is...
it does hit.
That's pretty wild of a statement, all things considered. Quote...
And Shamrock and Gunko are talking to each other.
Taking control of the warriors now will be difficult. Let's start with their children. Summon another one. Understood? Who should I call? From Gunko.
So we're getting a third Holy Night in Elbaf. Now, I'm going to say this, and I've seen, like, I will admit, again, like, I follow One Piece spoilers and theories and discussions a good bit. And I know, like, as soon as I saw, and this was my own thinking here, but I was seeing some videos and stuff, but as soon as I see, oh, they're going to go for the children. And I'm good, and this seems really dumb to say, in particular, since Gunko is a holy knight, who in theory is far stronger than any of this Straw Hat's previous opponents combined. But to me, targeting the children of Elbaf is setting Gunko up to be a Nami victim. Because if there's one thing that Nami has shown throughout the entire series, it is when you mess with children around her, that's when she actually flips that switch in her. In particular, we saw in Wano against Ulti.
True.
So, could we see a Nami power up to beat Gunko the Holy Knight? I know it's a dumb theory, but Oda does like having kind of the Straw Hats fight different but similar opponents. And again, going for children, that's Nami's one thing that will actually cause her to get a spine and fight. Is not beyond her own self-preservation. But if she were to actively stop running away and to start fighting, it is when children are involved. Even though the children would be double her height. Still, same thing.
So we get to zoom in back to characters that I know I'm kind of coming into the middle of a conversation between. Austin, do you know who's speaking in this particular frame?
These would be the giants that we first saw Shamrock and Gunko attack in the castle when they first arrived on Elbaf, trying to find Loki.
So you get a bit of a wavering. That was ... I'm sure of it. It was the red hair. And we get quite a reaction from Luffy calling him a liar. Do you really think Shanks would attack you for no reason? Which
Luffy does. That's the thing. Luffy knows Shanks in the sense that he does not attack unprovoked. Kid, perfect example. He was content doing whatever, and then he saw what Kid was going to do, and then he stepped in. Shanks is never the aggressor that we've seen so far.
Since you know the name of these characters, would you narrate them as I...
I don't know the names of the two giant guards. I don't even know if they were named in the previous chapter. But the one giant saying, "It's true. There's no way it could be anyone else. The red hair has come to visit Elbaf many times." Luffy, "But Shanks is super cool. What if that guy just looks like him? We freaked out, but why the hell would he be inside the castle?" But the red hair came to Elbaf, right? It wouldn't be strange if he was still around. And that was Zoro saying he still could be him. But this is where Luffy's being a kid, basically. But if you guys are really telling the truth, there's no way that was Shanks. Shanks is a chill and laid-back guy. He's just a chill guy.
He's just a little guy.
He would never do something so senseless, which is true. Luffy does know Shanks is not one to not do something without thinking about it. At least,
Shanks' Introduction 101, not starting a bar fight because it literally wasn't worth it. Shanks does not just randomly pick fights, especially if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, and the only time he would probably do something improv is when he's forced to, i.e. Kid, And Nami comments it's very nice to see Luffy so confident in Shanks.
Quote Luffy, "Of course. And you, Nami? You'd be mad too if someone talked bad about
Melmir, Bellamir, Luffy and names,
Oh,
are
yeah.
oil and water for the most part.
Nami even corrected me. It's Bellamir-san.
Which, you know what? That is the first mention of Bellamir in hundreds of chapters.
That's like nearly a. Oh no, not Bellamir.
Not quite, not quite 1,000. Because like we do see like it after Ennis Lobby, like oh, it's Bellamir's tangerines, and when they get reunited with the oranges and stuff from the Going Merry, but like it is. I will say, like I kind of this is one of the things I wish this like you could have comments like that more often, where the Straw Hats just kind of
Like,
appreciate their origins a little bit and remind the reader what their origins are and who inspired them, because you have people who have picked up One Piece that may not have wanted to go all the way back and see and understand the origins, or people just forget names and stuff.
Returning back to the two giants, so they look exactly alike, or maybe even brothers. Shanks could have a brother, but I never asked about his family. Very on brand.
Luffy doesn't even know his own family. When he first saw the photo of Dragon in the newspaper during the Reverie arc, where like it was in the paper that the RA HQ was attacked by the Blackbeard pirates rescuing Jesus Burgess, that was the first time Luffy saw a picture of his own father. Like this, like, so he straight up, he doesn't care about people's family for the most part. Now granted, it'd be one thing like, oh, like when Nami's sister helped them out in Arlong Park, okay, that's one thing, but like he doesn't care about someone's backstory. He's never cared.
We even get the interesting line from, quote, "It seems like he was raised on a pirate ship." How telling.
Now I want to, before you go on, the guy with the straw like hat that kind of like Otama made a lot of it in Japan and Wano. He was on a cover story with Crocus.
Really?
Yes, long blonde hair, the same outfit, same getup. So he's connected to Crocus in some way, like they were having a drink together. And the text bubbles here, I guess his family was Roger and Rayleigh, and all the Roger pirates too. And Luffy, being Luffy here, except for Buggy. Now, but that mysterious figure is seen walking along towards the castle, and I don't think it's a coincidence that he appears going towards where Luffy is, while Luffy is talking about the Roger pirates.
Yeah, that's a little on the nose.
Although I think it's funny though, because remember the last time we saw Buggy and Shanks interact was Marineford, and Shanks would act like if you asked Shanks, granted after he probably had like one of those big jugs of sake,
Yeah.
like if you considered Buggy a brother, he's like, yeah, I would. So like I think he would like maybe like that half brother you're like sometimes claim, sometimes don't. And meanwhile, and we cut away from Luffy and Co. to go to Frankie.
So, Treasure Tree Adam tour. All of this is Treasure Tree Adam. Scarce my ass. As he laughs.
Which is, well, the Adam tree is the wood that Sunny is made out of. And which, remember, like back in
finally seeing it,
Water
it's like
7,
indestructible.
Heavily resistant. But back in Water 7, they said it's scarce, and so when it goes on the black market, when it does, it costs, I mean, he spent 200 million of the 300 million berries they got from all the gold of Skypiea on the enough wood to build the Sunny and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. But is it really expensive out there?
This would be Gerd. And real fast, Gerd just holding Frankie like
an action figure.
And Frankie, no small man in any sense of the imagination, but
he's like 9 feet tall or so?
Yeah, he's like 9 feet, and I think he's like somewhere like between like 500, 700 pounds.
She just lifts him up, like, whoop.
Just holding him up like a kid does with an action figure. And and keep in mind that this is the same giant that has a human, half giant, half human kid. So there is that. So she's definitely she is one of the giants that will be a prominent player in Elbaf in some capacity. I also hate to say it, she is I would say in the highest tier of could die percentage with she is a mom in one piece.
Yeah, that's a short lifespan.
That there is nothing more dangerous in One Piece than being a mom, being a biological mom, I should say, because you got your adoptive moms like Dadan, but Sanji's mom dead, Robin's mom dead. We don't know Nami's biological parents, but considering Belmir found her in kind of a war area, probably not alive, and Belmir dead. Princess, what Queen Otohime dead.
Ace's mom, dead.
After carrying him for 17 months or something like that.
Ridiculously long time.
Like a year and a half, but dead. We don't know Luffy's mom. Don't know Zoro's mom. Usopp's mom is dead after Yasop truly established the deadbeat dad allegations.
Brooke's parents, assumedly dead.
That's about as safe assumption as you can get. Frankie's parents abandoned him, although it is speculated Queen is Frankie's father, but that still leaves the mother as a question mark. So, and Jinbei's parents are probably dead too, but to me that there's probably no tragedy there, just time.
Just age.
But again, being a mom in One Piece, not a good time. And technically Big Mom, dead, maybe, who knows.
Probably, assumedly, maybe. Zooming back in. Maybe I should start selling it too. Don't encourage me, Ripley. Saul gave me a whole lecture saying, it's a sacred tree, don't go cutting it down, you hear me? Aw, you nailed the impression. But if we were to steal this from the giants, we'd have to carry everything.
Which, to be fair, that is honestly the biggest challenge of doing anything in Elbaf. It's the sheer size of everything. Like, I remember back in, during Big Mom's flashback, this is where, like, watching some reactions and they're coming back there and Whole Cake, and for Big Mom's second cabin after her first hunger pang attack that killed Ja Rule, or I think was his name when he died, that she killed by yoinking his beard and driving him into the ground. But anyway, like, we saw that Mother Caramel had a smaller door attached to the bigger door for Big Mom. So, like, there is the idea that you have to accommodate, I will say, for the little people to giants when they come. So, but they don't really, because not a lot of people come.
So our boy Frankie gets dropped. God bless it. Looks like quite a drop. And that would cost a fortune.
Referring to the tree.
What's that? A mural. Scrolling down.
And,
these are scribbles made by children from ancient times that were engraved into the petrified tree bark. And today, due to their historical value, they are considered a national cultural heritage. Those scribbles over there.
And it's said to date sometime between 900 and 800 years ago.
Specific framing.
If that's true, then it would place right in the middle of the Void Century. Frankie freaking out with this, why? And Frankie saying, we gotta show Robin, she will be thrilled. Because people forget, she is an archaeologist first and foremost, more than anything else. And so this, Frankie also showing he knows his people. Robin needs to know.
Hey, ain't this drawing kind of odd for an old Elbaf? Not all the figures look like giants. Quite as far as we know, there were definitely times where the races of Old World clashed, but this kind of cooperation is
unheard of.
Ooh. That's why I think it was probably just some kid's dream. Oh, fuck off.
Like, as if we didn't just see a pirate samurai mink alliance in Wano. Like, it's not unheard of for different classes to work together.
Big Mom's Island is still around.
Yeah, I mean, Lord knows, I mean, we've got enough, like, Eelmouth, Longleg tribe, and other races there, and which actually that makes me wonder a little bit if Big Mom was inspired a little bit like this, because I saw edits afterwards, well, soon later, but like it definitely seems that the former Rocks pirates knew something about something.
Oh, they definitely had to.
And we are going to the Walrus School.
Okay, class is in session. Listen up. Okay, they're all giggling.
There, and Robin's still in the Owl Library.
So this is the Harley. The Harley. Who's that? Yep.
It's a book by the looks of it.
Oh, it's so big and old. Giant dust. This pretty tome here preserved many of the rich myths and legends of Elbaf, although it spanned countless interpretations too. Clever.
Very different versions of the sun god.
Oh,
Ain't that the funniest thing? And of course, Robin has to read it. Saul, being the absolute amazing person he is, lets her read it. 3 distinct sections.
so the third world refers to the present day, meaning it's a type of prophecy. Okay.
Mind you,
Legends of Nika have spread silently all over the world.
we know the Buccaneers.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing about them.
And again, referring back right at the beginning, I was talking about Who's Who being told to pray to Nika when he was in prison. So it's secretly and silently all over around the world is accurate.
Yeah. The only thing they all have in common is that he appears with a booming laugh to this beat.
And Saul does the drums of liberation. Doom, do, 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 do.
I'll read aloud then. The first world, the earth brewed in endless flame, and the hearts of men.
And here is the mural that obviously you can't see, but it's...
A lot's going on here.
Look at that. That is...
There's a lot going on here.
You were talking... we can do a picture breakdown, but...
Good gravy.
The first world.
Say, would you kindly go over that?
The first world. The earth burned in endless flame, and the hearts of men burned with desire. For from whispered prayers the sun god rose, beckoned by the enslaved who reached for the forbidden star. The god of the land was enraged. With a serpent of fire, they cast the world into ruin. Darkness fell, death reigned. They would not meet again. The second world. A breath stirred in the abyss. The god of the forest wove their magic, nurturing its devils while the sun lit the embers of war. Those of the half-crescent and full moons dreamed, yet the ones who slew the sun defied themselves, evoking the wrath of the sea god. They would not meet again. The third world, which Saul mentioned is believed to be the current world. Chaos reigns, the world drifts in a void, yet time does not erase the memory of the promised day. Its shadows loom as the voice of the half-moon echoes through the ages, and once more the sun god shall rise, laughing, dancing, guiding the world to its final act. The sun is reborn, a new dawn will break. Surely this is the time they will meet. And so again, I've seen speculation, the first world is the ancient times.
Gotta be.
As in, like, the first Nika. Mm-hmm. The second world would be the Joy Boy era. Mm-hmm. And the third world being the current one. And in this graph, as I understand it, you know how it is with Japan, you read right to left. Yeah. But the mural is left to right. So we see a figure holding the sun, which kind of got to be Emu.
Looking pretty evil, devilish, one might say.
Yes. And we have Nika
Definitely
with a sword and shield. We have Emmett.
Also, different thing on the shield, because that was around the circle thing for the Wano raid.
Yeah, we got a Lunarian above Nika.
Yes, we do. Flying whales, giant robot,
which is Emmett from which we saw in Egghead.
There's no way that is an Oars. There's no way that is an Oars.
It could be I think it would be a strong giant, which low-key now fits that mold of. You have Samurai.
Oh, Shirahoshi.
Here's Shirahoshi, the first Poseidon. You have Minx as well, and even a Tontada. And we forget the Tontadas are their own little separate race with their own belief system and everything, and it's very interesting to see. We see and the whale could be Laboon.
Laboon!
But we see Lunaires, a whole bunch, all against presumably Emu and the world government in this little boat in the devil's legs area, and they lose, that we know of.
Moving to the second.
And then in the second one, we see...
That looks like a dragon.
It does look like a dragon, and that looks like the ship from Skypiea.
It does, actually. It does.
And we know that, again, with cover stories, we know Enel encounters aliens on the moon. So there's clearly something going on there. And that is Noah's Ark there below.
Yeah, it's got to be down in Fishman Island.
And that's involved as well. Again, like Oda does not bring something big like Noah's Ark without planning to use it later.
Now backing up at least a little
And
bit.
then you see more people fighting in the moon prominently, and this weird serpent with markings. And there's a couple things that I've seen speculation on. Either this serpent represents kind of like Loki, because Loki kind of got the belt markings. But with the X's, some people I've seen are speculating that that's dragon. Because he has the
yeah.
like the tattoo thingamabobber down the side of his face. And so that could be dragon fighting back. And so there's a lot of mythology. And there's the speculation that the after the first war, you had the red line be built by a giant serpent around the earth of One Piece.
Jormungandr.
And I think that is very, and like Oda's really weaved a bunch of different old school mythologies in his story. And there is something that, like, Frankie's definitely probably blocking something right at the base of the tree, because like Oda's gonna reveal that later, I feel like.
Oh, for sure.
But like this panel is truly something. And
If I could sit and wildly speculate for a moment, if we can recall the Ragnarok in Norse history ended in a particular way, and the fight with Thor and Jormungandr sends Jormungandr backwards in time after killing Thor. Which, if we just take a couple minutes to speculate on this for a moment, if we can say Jormungandr is the Red Line, which World Serpent Red Line, okay, we're cooking here. Send that back in time. That kind of tracks also up with the world is sinking. If you send the Red Line back in time, that would stop the world from sinking.
Fun thing going on about, because we hear that like he will turn the world upside down. Okay, so who is one of the guardians of hell in Greek mythology?
Chiron?
Cerberus.
Cerberus.
And where is Cerberus in the world of One Piece?
In Shamrock's hand.
Shamrock, who is the commander of the Holy Knights, i.e. guarding Marie Joie. But Cerberus is supposed to be guarding hell, which often always depicted below everything, not above everything.
Also true.
And what did we see when Shanks one-tapped Kid?
Remind me.
A griffin, which is more of a heavenly guardian. Okay. And as Shamrock said, Shanks wanted to be part of the below place. But the idea that a griffin is being represented in Shanks's moves, which is a heavenly protector, whereas Shamrock uses Cerberus, a hellish protector, turns the world upside down. That would imply, that Marie Joie, where the Celestials are all, dragons are all chilling, that's hell. Which, honestly, for a lot of people, if you are not a Celestial dragon, it is hell. Because you're a slave up there, and as we saw during the Reverie, it is not fun.
That's the truth.
So I think, I've seen that theory, and I really like that theory that, it's a bunch of symbolism showing of Oda being like, hey, this is him saying, this is what I mean with saying the world's going to turn upside down.
Oh, that's definitely clever interpretation. It absolutely lines up with what I could see the future of One Piece being. There's going to be a final battle. The Celestial Dragons have to lose somehow, and Mary Joie has to, the Red Line, Mary Joie has to be destroyed in some form or fashion.
And I will say this, I forget her name, but the fortune teller mermaid in Fishman Island said she saw Straw Hat Luffy destroy Fishman Island, but we don't know when. Because in the flashback during Wano with Odin's journey, we see that when she was a kid, she predicted Shirahoshi's birth and stuff. But again, she couldn't be exact with when, just down the line.
She just gets the visions. There's no specific time frame on them.
So the thing is, if you are inverting everything, that would destroy Fishman Island, since Fishman Island is the lowest kingdom geographically in One Piece.
Yeah, as far as we know.
But it's also directly under Marie Joie, because to cross the red line, there are two routes, either up and over, which you basically have to be in the world government and Marines to do that, or under it and go through Fishman Island. So in this final battle, which would obviously be Emu versus Luffy, if Luffy destroys the upper part, if you're punching through everything, you're going to destroy the bottom too.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I think they would not be complaining if they're suddenly on top and if they're more in a better place because of it. Because that is one thing that somebody, it's always a symbolic thing, especially Phoenix Flames, they rise from the ashes. So yes, we saw in that little fortune bubble that Luffy was surrounded by flames. But flames are often destructive, but also they can be the start of something new. And I think maybe that vision she had was about Luffy standing the flames of the world government. It just so happens that geography draws the short straw there.
Oh yeah.
And going to the bits back in the prophecies, in particular the second one, those of the half crescent and full moon. What does a half crescent moon look like in terms of if you had to give it an alphabet?
Like a C?
Half moon looks more like a D.
Yeah, forgive the dyslexia for a minute. Okay.
Yeah, if the lit up part of the moon, a half moon, it looks like a D. So that could be the origins of the D moniker.
Ooh.
It could be. Obviously, with One Piece, you have 50 million theories and speculations. I'm not saying I came up with this one. I saw it, but I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Because
it's not off the table for sure. But look, especially with Shanks' twin theory being dropped and confirmed, it's opened up some sillier ideas in my head.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it's definitely a huge chapter because you don't this type of historical this is void century lore. This is
we never get lore this direct.
No,
ever.
Literally the last two arcs between Vegapunk's message and I'll say O'Hara 2.0 with Saul in this mural. We are getting finally lore on what happened 500, 600, 700 years ago. And also another thing I saw is all in that mural, it was talking about the dawn coming. Odin's wife said to Orochi and subordinates of Orochi, you are the dark before the dawn. And we know time traveled. So she came from that time. So she knows that stuff. And so she knew she could probably get again that thematic thing of the darkness and the moon and the light coming in Wano with someone from that time period, from this ancient time period. Oda does not do things like that. Lord knows that we saw enough flashbacks of her speech in the anime and even in the manga that it was clearly Oda was hammering that home and Toei was hammering that home. And I think that is an indicator there's clearly something to a dusk moon theme.
Oh, there's no way there can't be. Especially if we look back at the idea of romance dawn, dawn. If they're the clan of the dawn, it would make sense that you have midnight, I guess the crescent moon, and then the dawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just fits. Like, Oda's very thematic of a writer. Like, I don't think that's ever in dispute. He loves his things.
Oh yeah.
That will do it. But I think, again, like, we've set up a lot of. Yeah, I was right. Gunko is the name of Shamrock's fellow Holy Knight currently on Elbaf with the arrow fruit. But, like, he's definitely setting up this final. I mean, having Shamrock gore Loki with his Cerberus sword. Well, I mean, you are not bringing Loki just to have him die chained to a tree. Still,
Yeah.
he is going to be freed, and he is going to come back with a vengeance. And that's, again, Shamrock going into the arrogant celestial dragon attitude, which so that's going to be biting Loki. That Loki is going to bite Shamrock in the ass, because if you are going to do that to clearly someone who is a top tier,
Yeah.
Guy had a
somebody.
special $2.6 billion berry bounty, not even truly being a pirate. He is chained up, even when chained up for 6 years with Sea Prism Stone, which wears out hockey, still has future sight to predict what Gunko is going to do to him and stuff, and knowing what's going to happen to him with getting speared by Cerberus. Clearly, Loki is one strong son of a bitch.
Yeah, there's no way he can't be.
And Shamrock is going to regret not finishing the job. You do not finish the job against top tiers. The one time, like, Luffy went against a top tier when he could actually I'll say, quote, beat the top tier in Kaido, he did not mess around. He made sure the job was finished, punching Kaido with a fist bigger than Onigashima, driving him down into the magma.
Into a fucking...
Yeah, and Kid and Law did not fuck around with Big Mom. They got
took
her
her
down
guts down.
into the magma. They know not to mess around with top tiers. If you're going to go after a top tier, you need to put them down.
Yeah.
And Garp being alive, no, granted,
Well, it's also
heavily
taken on to
injured.
speculate, like, for the top tiers, quote unquote, that Luffy did not kill. Look how fast they came back. Looking at you, Crocodile. Like, Crocodile is going to have an insane comeback. If you don't kill these guys, you can't coexist with them. You can't tolerate them. They are going to either kill you or you kill them.
Yeah. And that's the one that, like, people are saying, oh, well, Luffy crushes their dreams when he beats them. And yes, to be fair, sometimes, like, we see, like, oh, we don't know what happened to Arlong, but we know he was taken in by the Marines because of all the shit he did in Nami's village.
Oh, he's also not a top tier.
Yeah, but
Arlong
like, we know that Don Krieg somehow made it to Hachinosu. We've seen him in a cameo appearance during Vegapunk's speech. So, but again, like, that Don Krieg, he'll probably be like remember me, Straw Hat, and then he'll get one tapped. But again, it's the idea that you are posing a risk still, not putting people down.
Oh, yeah.
Lucci, that's another one.
Yeah,
Like,
didn't kill Lucci. To be fair, he fucking tried.
Yeah, he
really
really
tried.
tried. Like, that was the. But again, and
That was everything Gear 2 and 3 could have possibly thrown at him.
Yeah. And another top tier, I'm not going to say top tier in terms of strength here, but top tier in terms of importance, Doflamingo. Yeah. He's still around. He's still kicking and Impel down. He's going to be a player in this. Like, there's no way that...
Even when Luffy defeated him and you saw him chained up and he's just laughing, you felt instinctually like, oh, this is... He made a mistake not killing him there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, Doflamingo was a guy that Luffy truly should have put down.
Good gravy.
Yeah.
If Doflamingo comes back, that's quite a twist. That's going to be a lot of things going back into play because Dofi definitely knows way more than he's letting on. Specifically, we've also never come back to the secret treasure of Mary Joie.
Yeah, which I think if I'm willing to bet that might be like the throne room of Emu and stuff, because like because when Sabo's up in Marie Joie during their attack during the reverie, like the guards there talking about like what is it called, the repository room or something like that, or something akin to that. So I can imagine like, oh, this secret room. And I will say this: a mind like Dofi's would think treasure in some way. It could be. So I think it could be that. It could also be that Dofi knows, like, maybe that treasure is what the ability that Emu has to give the Gorosei their powers.
I was thinking it might be was it Uranus or the Mother Flame? What if they used to blow up the island?
Lulusha?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Because we know the location of original Pluton is at the bottom of Wano. We know, and also, I just realized something. Odin came back from Laugh Tale.
Yeah.
And he wanted to open the borders of Wano.
Yeah.
Which would, in theory, free Pluton.
Yeah.
He did not want to do that prior to leaving Wano. But coming back from Laugh Tale, seeing the One Piece, and thanks to Vegapunk, we know that whoever controls the One Piece controls it. So, like, it's believed that the part of the One Piece is this knowledge that we're kind of is more in-depth knowledge of what we just saw in the mural. So, like, Odin would want, all right, let's run it back. Odin is that guy to want to run it back.
Fair.
So that could be why, and I would imagine if you open the borders, i.e. lower the waterfalls, lower the cliffs, or whatever it is that Wano has, that frees Pluton, which the world government does not want. And another thing is that you have to remember, Frankie can make Pluton.
Which, again, underrated secret there is that Frankie just had that.
Yeah. I think Frankie's confirmed to know to make Pluton. The only other person who might be able to make Pluton currently is Iceberg.
Yeah, also definitely in the realm of possibility. If there's two shipwrights we could trust to be able to do it, it'd be those two.
Yeah. And that's going to come into play in this final saga for sure. We know Shirahoshi is Poseidon, and that's its own thing. And so there's 3 ancient weapons. We know 2 of the 2 current locations and 1, in theory, location with Frankie.
Yeah.
We don't know Uranus. And we will... I think that has to be the thing that is powered by the Mother Flame made by Vegapunk that was used to blow up Lulusha. And something I was also, when I was watching back on YouTube reactions, Kobe saves, I believe, the princess, or at least like part of the royal family of Lulusha from the submarine that was also attacking the Dressrosa ship. And it was like they had already taken prison, like the pirates that were attacking the Dressrosa ship that Kobe one taps with some punches and stops the torpedo. They had already attacked the Lulusha ship. So it seemed like Oda loves like saying, hey, I know these guys are scrubs, but they might be important. So again, like you never know what details are and are not meaningful, especially like looking back in time. Like you can, sometimes there's stuff you can learn. And it's just a reminder that you can have, you think something's a throwaway comment or a nonsense image, and then 2 years, 3 years, 5 years later, I mean, literally, I think the Reverie's like 8 years old in terms of the manga, because that was post Dressrosa, and yeah, that's like post Whole Cake, and like I think that's like 20, like that's late 17 maybe, like, but again, like we're looking at 4 or 5 years between Lulusha people getting captured by those pirates and being freed by Kobe to Lulusha being destroyed. Again, like, not saying that those it's significant, but like it speaks to Oda setting
in real life planning this,
setting stages in ways that you don't see coming.
Oda's got to have red string boards that look absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, he has to. And Oda said, I saw a tweet, like he said, One Piece would be over in like 5 or so years if it wasn't for the warlords. And because like I can see a little bit of that, but I think again, like we also have to remember Oda changed the Alabasta arc a bit to Vivi being a princess because of one panel in the manga he drew where she looked princess like.
Yeah.
So like Oda probably definitely has the story mostly planned out, but I also feel like he improvs and he falls in love with an idea and he'll run with it, and then he'll ram that idea into the story in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this 1138.
Incredible chapter.
It,
Wild.
Like we learn so much. Like the fact that the reveal that the commander, the Holy Knight's weapon, has a devil fruit is not even the most important thing by a
Let alone the devil fruit is.
Yeah, and that's not even the most important thing. The fact that a third Holy Knight is coming to Elbaf, we know what their game plan is, targeting the kids of Elbaf, and then of course the murals and the lore, like that is, and also this mysterious person going to the castle. There's so much going on in this chapter that it's definitely going to be one of the strongest chapters of the year, maybe, but also recording this February 3rd, that's a long time.
We got another 10 months of One Piece manga to come out.
Yep.
Something else come out is guaranteed to come up. It's just, we're going to have to top this. Good gravy.
Yeah. And 1139 is coming out this week. Apparently there will be a break after 1139, which, I'm always fine with Oda taking a week off, maybe to get some details in, take time. Because I'd rather the story be completed by him than anything else. And I will say Oda is feeling pressure. Like, he's been answering questions, and like he does want things to end. I mean, with Frankie's voice actor retiring,
yeah,
a lot of the other voice actors are up there in age. And especially of the major players.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely feel like, and Oda definitely has a strong connection to the voice cast. And you even see it with the live action, like he has a strong connection with those that are helping make his baby bigger and more popular.
Oh, yeah.
Like he really cares. And so I think he does feel a little bit obligated to try to get this done as fast as possible so the people who helped elevate One Piece get their due with it. You can't change all of it. I mean, I'm willing to bet by the time Dragon says a named attack in the manga, his voice actor is going to be hanging up the boots.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some that don't make it, which is sad, but we can appreciate what they did to help lay the groundwork for everything.
Oh, yeah.
But Oda's definitely going to try to. I feel like I would be shocked if One Piece doesn't end before 2030. Like I feel like, and granted, again, that's only roughly 200. I would say 160 to 200 chapters in that time frame.
2 roof pieces.
Yeah, and again, that just puts into perspective, though, because, I mean, Whole Cake, a very long chapter, but very saga, but needed. Wano, good God, long. But, like, again, like, Oda does want to ramp things up. He is, like, I do think he will wrap it up, and I know it's going to be an amazing way, but I also just feel like there's so many pieces that it might be 2030, after 2030, maybe, because, again...
Give or take.
But... I mean, he's like in his 50s now, I think.
We just want to avoid another Berserk situation.
Yeah, and that would, now granted, it is different a little bit. He's only 50. He turned 50 on New Year's Day. So, dang him, he's been doing this half his life, though. So, but clearly, again, you don't want a situation. I mean, mangakas burn out. Their health does not do well compared to others. So he will want to do it right. Do it fast, but do it right will be Oda's thing, I think.
Right
But
on.
I think 1138 just shows that Elbaf is like, it seems odd to say that like no arc is insignificant, but it definitely feels like the past three arcs, Elbaf, Wano, and Egghead,
Yeah.
are it is the single stretch of the three most important arcs in One Piece, I think, in succession. Because when you look at the other ideas of, no, yeah, yes, I'm not saying the others are not important. The early ones obviously are important. However, in terms of the story of One Piece, I think Wano, Egghead, and Elbaf are the three most important story driving sagas, arcs, whatever you want to say, in One Piece as a whole.
Yeah. The lore just keeps getting. As time has gone on, we get more and more and more and more of the important lore, and it's taken so long to get this because it has. We've had to have something to wrap up to really sit and wonder about. Like yeah, hypothetically, we could have. You could take like time out of One Piece and make it a shorter story, but a part of the development process is what we want. We need to care about what we're asking here, and if you're not invested by this long, and you're not these questions have to be important to you by now, or this story will not make sense.
Yeah, and because again, like Wano gives us Roger flashbacks, and that whole story, Odin's flashbacks alone give us so much lore,
Oh yeah.
and that's not including just everything else we learn in Wano. Is Wano the first time we actually get name drop Nika?
Oh,
Because Joy Boy got dropped at Fishman Island, but I think Wano might be Nika's first name drop.
I don't know. I
A bare minimal. I mean, with again, we mentioned him earlier. Who's who saying Nika, pray to Nika, mockingly told that, but like that's the first time I think that's the first time that we hear the name Nika,
yeah.
and obviously Gear 5 and all that stuff, and we learn a bit of Rock's lore a bit, and then on Egghead we learn a lot more lore thanks to
We
Vegapunk's
get double
message
fruit lore.
and also Kuma's flashback, God Valley, and the Gorosei.
The Gorsei fight. Katarina Devon touches one.
Yeah, and there's just so much importance. We see that they can be killed. We see glimpses of Emu's power during Egghead, and it's like, how the heck are we gonna able to beat that thing?
Like, fuck.
And now we're getting ancient lore in Elbaf, which I think it was almost a given that you would get some ancient lore in Elbaf because giants live ages.
Oh yeah.
Like
The Giants and Little Guard were fighting for 100 years.
Yeah,
and they
Dorian
totally
Brody.
forgot.
Dorian Brody fighting for 100 years. The current king, he's like 360, 308. Like he's high 300s years old. And so again, like that's not.
That's a long time. 300 years ago, he was like 500 years from the.
Yeah,
Void Rule?
Ja Rule, he is 408. So that's like just half the Void Century ago. Like so, Ja Rule's likely father was probably alive during the Void Century, or at least his grandpa
That's a
was
real
alive during
possibility.
the Void Century. So like,
That's
that
just
people-
outside of living memory for him.
Yeah, like you are talking not that long ago for a giant.
Sorry.
And that is a very important detail. So it makes sense that we're getting ancient lore here in Elbaf.
These guys are, like, these guys probably have it relatively fresh in their like cultural history.
Yeah,
It's like asking.
this would be like,
It's like the 80s
us-
for like Zoomers.
oh, this would be like us learning about like World War One, you know?
Give or take.
Yeah, and they will learn a lot more ancient lore, and we're gonna see Shamrock fight. We're going to see 2 other Holy Knights fight, and Loki's going to fight and stuff. So it will be interesting to see, and I think it's just going to be very fun to see what Oda does in 11th